Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The New York Rangers clinch the President's Trophy. They shut out the Ottawa Senators 4-0. So not only did they clinch the President's Trophy, but of course with that they clinched the conference and the Metropolitan Division. So a lot was on the line in this game, and the Rangers were able to get it done. Even though they won 4-0, this was a game that really, through the first couple periods, it was kind of an even game. But the Rangers were able to, again, score a key shorthanded goal as they did the game before against the Islanders. The penalty kill has been great. But Igor Shesterkin's been so locked in for the last few months, just been really, really dialed in. And that's a very good sign heading into the playoffs. Artemi Panarin gets his 49th goal of the season, was unable to get 50. That would have been great, but an MVP caliber regular season for Panarin. And now all eyes will be on him in the postseason. I mean, that's really what we've been waiting for. And hopefully he can accentuate what he's done in the regular season. If he doesn't and it goes the other way around, all you're going to remember is the failures in the playoffs. But what he did in the season was remarkable. He ends up with 120 points. Like I said, really, he won't win the MVP, but it was an MVP caliber year for him. And yeah, there was a couple other round numbers that weren't hit. Kreider, who came into this game with 39 goals, leaves with 39 goals, but he did have a couple of really key assists. And, it had me thinking, and I looked it up. Kreider has 36 assists this season, which is way more. His previous career high was 25. So, that is definitely notable, the fact that he surpassed it by that much. And, Adam Fox gets the shorthanded goal. So it's back-to-back games where the shorthanded goal was scored by a defenseman, Braden Schneider against the Islanders, then Adam Fox versus the Senators. And so Fox ends up with 17 goals in the season. And if he hadn't been out for 10 games, solid chance, not definite, that he could have hit 20 goals, which that's also great to see. And he's been just brilliant of late as well. So, a lot of good things to go around. And yeah, we don't know the Rangers' first-round playoff opponent yet, but we do know that it'll go through, as long as Rangers are in the playoffs, it'll go through Madison Square Garden as far as having home ice advantage in each series. And the Rangers tied a franchise record with 30 home wins. It's a franchise record for 55 overall wins in the season. And they also have earned the most points in a regular season with 114. And take that with a grain of salt in the sense that really view it since the 05-06 season. Once they got rid of ties. But hey, that's, a little less than 20 seasons. And this is the best that they've done within that. The previous time was 2015 when they won their last President's Trophy. And that year they had 113 points. So this is their fourth President's Trophy. 1992, Mark Messier's first year as a Ranger, where the Rangers lost in the second round to the Pittsburgh Penguins. 94, they won the President's Trophy. Of course, they won the Stanley Cup in 94. Then in 2015, they lost in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, just amazing what was done in this regular season. Never would have thought this. I certainly thought that this was a team that was capable of making the playoffs. Obviously, Gerard Gallant gets fired. Peter Laviolette is hired. And that decision has reaped major benefit since he's become head coach of the Rangers. And the coaching staff as well with Laviolette. They just seem to have a good pulse on the team. And, he's had success, especially in a lot of these NHL coaches. And the same can be said for Gerard Gallant. But with Laviolette even more so, initial success, where year one, and things of that sort, where with Carolina he wins a cup, the Flyers reaches the final and loses to the Blackhawks, the Predators he reaches the final, and these were at latest within probably year two of each of those stints. So we're going to see what happens. As far as the Rangers, we're going to get into the Senator game here, but the future first-round opponent, we may find out tomorrow night who that will be. Right now, it would be the Washington Capitals, but they play at the Flyers, and the Flyers are technically still alive. They need a lot to work their way. In fact, what's interesting is they actually need to win in regulation against the Capitals. So a very weird scenario may present itself where the game is tied late and the Flyers pull their goalie. And that would just be one of the most bizarre things I've seen where, let's say you have a situation where like Montreal, where Detroit's beating Montreal, which in that game's at the same time. And, Detroit's rooting for Philly to knock off Washington. And if they had just played it straight, maybe Philly would beat them. But because they would need to pull the goalie at the end of regulation, it may lead to an empty net clincher by the Caps. Again, it may not play itself out that way, but that does exist. And as far as that's concerned, I am fine with either the Caps or Red Wings. Beyond that, the Penguins are the next in line. So if the Caps and the Red Wings lose, then that opens the door for the Penguins to play an already clinched New York Islander team. So I would prefer to not play the Penguins. Not scared of them, but I just, we've seen that matchup a lot. I prefer that to not be the case. I guess I'd give maybe a slight lean to preferring to play the Red Wings over the Caps, but it is close. You could really make the argument either way. I guess it's more so like Charlie Lindgren's been pretty good for the Caps lately. They seem to be kind of playing this defensive, grindy sort of style. And it is a division opponent. It is a team that the Rangers did split with this year. They did have more success versus the Red Wings. So I give a slight lean to wanting the Red Wings, but I'm perfectly fine with the way this sets up if it's the Caps or the Wings. I think that's a pretty ideal scenario considering what the other options were. And then you hope that Carolina and the Islanders kind of beat up on each other. That's a playoff rematch of last season where Carolina won that in 6. So, and of course the Rangers lost to the Devils, and that gets kind of more frustrating as time goes on. The Devils missed the playoffs this year. Really disappointing year for them. So Rangers have been a team on a mission. After losing that series of the Devils, they have done what they've done the best they can do in the regular season, and now let's see what happens in the playoffs. So as far as this game goes, it was the same lineup as the Islander game. So I guess for game 1, it'll probably be Rempe over Brodzinski. Now, I can't say that with full confidence, but I think that chances are they'll start that way. But I don't expect that it'll stay that way. I think that they'll kind of go back and forth between the two of them. Hey, maybe there's another 1 or 2 players that, could be a healthy scratch. And then on defense, it's the same thing. And I would like to see Zach Jones in over Eric Gustafsson at some point. I think maybe it's possible, but, they're definitely going to give, Gustafsson's been the guy all year long, and we'll see what happens. But they stuck with Miller Schneider, and that's good. And that's that's Laviolette having a pulse for the team, dropping Schreiber to the third pair. Look, the minutes end up getting distributed fairly evenly anyway, so it's not like a huge demotion. But I think it was the right thing to do, and I hope they stick with that. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a lineup update. And really the biggest thing, actually, what am I even talking about? I totally forgot, as far as the whole Rempe thing, is Filipino. Will he be ready for game 1? If he's not ready for game 1, I think that we will see him within the first round of the playoffs. Maybe they don't want to do it right away. Maybe they do. But I do expect us to see him, and that really will change the look of the lineup. And with that, I think that Heel coming in is a definite, great addition and should make them better. But I guess when it pertains to a couple of because it will affect a couple of the lines, I guess there could be a little bit of an adjustment there, because the Rangers have kind of had these sort of set lines ever since kind of the trade deadline, a little bit thereafter. So that, which is why if Heedle's going to play, it makes all the sense in the world to get him in there for game 1, which is kind of my hunch. I think that we may see him on game 1. So Rangers do take the lead. At 5:55, Jack Roslovic scores his 9th goal of the season, and it is his 3rd goal with the Rangers. So, look, it was a kind of a disappointing 19 games for Roslovic with the Rangers, but hey, hopefully this can maybe get him going. And like I said, he's been looking a little bit better lately. A nice pass by Kreider. It was a turnover at the neutral zone, and Kreider is able to find it open. Roslovic, who buries it past Korpisalo, the goalie for the Senators, and Rangers take a 1-0 lead. But Rangers got off to a good start, but similar to the Islander game, Ottawa kind of then took it to them, and Igor had to be good. At 18:10, the Senators take a penalty, and the Ranger power play does not score. Ranger power play not great tonight. And look, they're probably going to finish, second or third in the NHL in the power play. It's a lethal unit, but the penalty kill, that's the one where I'm just kind of more bullish on them, because you don't really, I don't know, like with the Rangers, they now have a reputation for a great power play. You don't necessarily think of it with the PK. It's been so good for a long time. And it's funny, it's gotten even better because, I think about the fact that, Nick Bonino was, a regular on the PK, and, ever since he's been gone, it's gotten even much better. Now, maybe that's probably a pure coincidence, but, and look, maybe the addition of Alex Wemberg has helped a little bit. He gets a little bit of penalty kill time, but Rangers have a 1-0 lead going to the second. And at 7:03 of the second, Kakko slashes Shabbat. Kakko's been taking a lot of penalties lately. Definitely got to cut down on that. And that was not a thing for him at all. He was someone that really didn't do that, like I said, but he needs to definitely decrease the penalties. But the Rangers kill it off. But not only did they kill it off, maybe Kakko kind of knew what he was doing, because the Rangers take a 2-0 lead. It's a goal by Adam Fox, his 17th goal of the season, assisted by Kreider and Zibanejad. So another great pass by Kreider. Fox streaking to the net is able to tip it in. And I like the jump that I've seen lately from Zibanejad. That line was actually pretty good. Zibanejad, Kreider, and Roslovic. And I just think Mika's been playing with a little bit more of a burst lately. So hopefully that can kind of continue into the playoffs. Because, look, by all accounts for Mika, it was not a great season by his standards. He really, he had the ability to really put up and sometimes points don't tell the story, but he really didn't, burst like last year, the regular season. He did very, very well. I want to say that Zibanejad had at least 90 points last season. But hey, if he can turn it on in the playoffs, you'll take that all day long. So the Rangers take a 2-0 lead. Big goal by Fox. At 13:11, Artem Zub interferes with Will Cooley. Ranger power play does not score. So the Rangers have a 2-0 lead going to the third. And as we've seen a lot, the Rangers kind of get better as the game goes on. I thought the Rangers had a very solid third period, but what helps is at 4:34, Panarin scores to make it 3-0. His 49th goal of the season from Lindgren and Fox. This was a play where Lindgren just, puts it, kind of an attempted shot deflection up at the slot, and Lindgren puts it on the tape of Panarin, and he scores. And so he had about 15 minutes left to score one more goal. The crowd was chanting, "We want 50." It didn't happen. It sucks. Just one short. But that makes it 3-0. Then at the 13-minute mark, Alexis Lafreniere scores his 28th goal of the season from Gustafsson and Panarin. So with that, Panarin gets 120 points. Lafreniere just short of a couple of whole numbers, 28 goals, and he ends up with 57 assists. So I was hoping maybe he can get 30-60. But like I've said, he would have surpassed that by a mile if he had gotten, power play one time. So a great, great season. Look, I think the two players that Ranger fans were probably most hard on after the postseason was Artemi Panarin and Alexis Lafreniere. And those two had two of the best seasons on this team, especially to expectation. And that's Panarin included, because I know Panarin, he's one of the best players in the league. But even for him, this was, for me, like more of a throwback in a different way, but somewhat similar to his first year with the Rangers, where he was just very, very clued in on both sides of the ice. He's turned the puck over a little bit more lately, but just great stuff from Artemi. So the Rangers have a 4-0 lead. At 13:46, Rempe trips Shane Pinto. So, hey, for Rempe, that's going to be a little bit of a concern where, he's got to stay out of the box. Can't be doing that. And so, Rangers kill it off. And within that penalty kill, Rangers almost scored again. It was a penalty shot awarded to Jimmy Vesey as Ridley Gregg takes him down, but Vesey does not score on that penalty shot. And then at 17:16, Tkachuk cross-checks Cooley. So that was really the opportunity for Panarin to possibly get the 50 goals, or maybe for Kreider to get his 40th goal. It doesn't happen, but the Rangers win 4-0. It's a shutout for Igor Shesterkin. I believe his fourth Fourth shutout for Igor. He really finished the season. Ever since the All-Star break, he was sensational. And you really, right now, got to feel good about him in net. You really do. To the point where it's like, because for a while I was thinking, look, with Igor struggles, it's like we really, truly might see Jonathan Quick. And we still might. Like, don't rule that out if Igor kind of had a little bit of hit a speed bump, but it's not even a thought. Like, Igor, it's of course his net, and he ends up with statistics that we're kind of used to seeing at season's end. So, like I said, 114 points, 55 wins, 30 home wins, all those. I mean, they 28, not in this game, but 28 comeback wins. Like a season to be so proud of. And so the key is the playoffs. Always has been, always will be, but it's nice to kind of soak this in. And the way it kind of ended was perfect, in terms of health as well. The only assuming Hedl comes back, the only person that really got hurt that may not come back is Blake Wheeler. And look, could he have been a useful piece? Maybe. Obviously he was not great. But my point is that they're going in pretty healthy as we know it. So that's also key. And the first round, and I might do, I'm debating of maybe doing a preview, a series preview episode, once we find out who the Rangers' opponent will be. But it's going to be imperative for the Rangers for this to not be a 7-game series. Let this be one that, look, asking for a 4-game sweep is just it's unrealistic, quite frankly. But if you can end this in 5, at worst 6, that's going to do you well moving forward. And like I said, hopefully Carolina and the Islanders can beat each other up. And the Rangers, we're going to find out. It's the most unlikely team it'll be is the Flyers, followed by the Penguins. And, we'll see what happens with Washington and Detroit. If those teams do slip up, it really then opens the door for Pittsburgh to snatch that, 8th and final Eastern Conference playoff spot. But if it is, let's talk in the terms of Washington and Detroit for now, even though I'm not dismissing Pittsburgh. Washington, we've seen a lot of Ranger cap series over the years. So that's why the Ranger Red Wing one, it's a new flavor. It's an original 6 matchup, but the Red Wings, they haven't made the playoffs in what's the playoff drought been? The last 7-8 years or so that they've missed. So they're looking to end that. And the Red Wings have a lot more sort of offensive firepower than Washington. But the Caps, there is some experience there, of course. Look, it's not prime Ovechkin, but he's been pretty good lately. You got, of course, Tom Wilson and there's John Carlson. Oshie's, playoff tested. So, a little bit of a different – each team brings different things to the table. But the Rangers will certainly be a fairly heavy favorite against either team, and it would be a massive disappointment to lose to either team. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But the Rangers shut out the Ottawa Senators. They win 4-0 in their 82nd final regular season game of the season. They clinch the President's Trophy and hope to take all their success in the regular season into the playoffs, which will begin this weekend.